Representative-elect Mike Waltz. As promised, the other side, he supports Kevin McCarthy. Thanks for being here. Your thoughts on this day and where we are up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Look, I mean, you asked about my support of Kevin McCarthy. The irony here is the other person that people are voting for in the race, Jim Jordan, also supports Kevin McCarthy. President Trump supports Kevin McCarthy. Conservatives and moderates, which we also have to have, many moderates who just won Biden districts also support him. And as Aisha just said, we can't get to our agenda, the reason we are elected into a majority, on China, on big tech, on border. Heck, tonight we were supposed to vote to rescind funding for the 87,000 IRS agents, but we can't get to that because we have a group that's pushing for someone who doesn't want the job.
All right, so you have 3 ballots so far, and the last ballot, there was one more vote for Jim Jordan. On one of those, in between the balloting, we saw a video of you talking to Congressman Jordan, and you had a discussion. What was that about?
Well, I have an immense amount of respect for Jim Jordan. He's actually coming to my district in the coming weeks. But I was confirming with him that he indeed doesn't want the job. And he said, Mike, I want to be chairman of Judiciary. We have to hold big tech accountable. We have to get to antitrust. We have to reform the FBI that's become highly politicized. So we were actually lamenting about all of the things that we had expected to get started this week and that we can't because, look, I do want to say there are some things that had to change from how Speaker Pelosi ran this place, where you've got a $1.7 trillion bill that goes into her office and then comes out into law with no ability to stop things. But McCarthy has given a lot of that. We have to now cut a government program before we can put one in place. We'll have an inflation score on any bill that goes forward. He's changing the way chairmen and women are selected. All of these things were asked for by those that are holding out on this vote. He has given those things going forward. So at this point, it seems to just be pure obstructionism. And what's so frustrating is the goalpost seems to keep moving. We all asked this morning as a conference, some of those individuals, what will it take to get to 218 so we can move forward with the agenda that the voters elected us to move forward with and stop Biden's agenda? And there was no answer.
If they come back,
and that's what's frustrating.
If you heard some of Congresswoman-elect Lauren Boebert's interview earlier, she listed a number of things, including votes on term limits and other things that they claim that Kevin McCarthy said no to. And you pointed out your side is saying the goalposts have moved. If they stay united, all they need is 5 every vote, every ballot. So then do you shift? Do you think Kevin McCarthy is going to stay in this ballot after ballot until he gets the number he needs? Or are you suddenly contemplating a Steve Scalise or some other consensus candidate?
Well, look, both Steve and Jim Jordan have nominated Kevin McCarthy. I expect him to stay in this. And look, there's a point where you go from negotiation to a hostage situation. And 90% of the Republicans that were voted into this majority can't be held hostage for the agenda of a very few, especially when there's been a lot of concessions towards that agenda. And I think many of them were very good. But at the end of the day, when asked what will it take and you don't have an answer, it just seems like it's becoming, I don't know, personal, or there's not a real strategy there, or the goalposts are moving. It's really not clear. But what is clear is what we were elected to do, and that is to stand up to the Democrats in the Senate, to stand up to the Biden administration and get this country back on track. And we have laid out a commitment to America to do that, but we can't get started. We can't even swear in until we get past this.
Okay, well, these 20, at least 18 to 20 of them, say they're adamantly against Kevin McCarthy. And Lauren Boebert says Jim Jordan may not want it, but George Washington didn't want it either. So do you think there's a chance that someone besides Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House?
Look, I think it's going to be McCarthy. At the end of the day, Brett, another alternative is people start voting present. They live up to their public commitment to not vote for him. But then that would give enough room for us to still get a speaker in place, get Kevin McCarthy in place, and start enacting the agenda on big tech, border, China, COVID, and everything else that voters expect us to do.
And do you know if those conversations are happening? I mean, what's going on behind the
There
scenes?
are conversations that are happening tonight. I expect us to get back together again as a conference in the morning, and we'll start the process again at noon tomorrow.
Congressman-elect from Florida, Mike Waltz, thank you.
Thanks, Brett.